Have you ever really stopped to think about how the global economy actually works? I mean, how all the stuff in the world gets from point A to point B. It's not just a bunch of boxes and barrels. Today, we're going to dive into a really clever and kind of hidden part of global shipping that pretty much makes our modern world possible.
So let me just ask you this. How in the world do you ship 1,000,000 cars across an ocean? Or think about giant rolls of paper or massive bundles of lumber. How do you move stuff like that from one continent to another without it taking forever and costing a fortune?
And that's the real puzzle, right? You can't just pour cars into a ship like you're pouring cereal into a bowl. And they're definitely not going to squeeze into a standard shipping container. So what's the trick? Well, to get to the answer, we first have to understand the two heavyweights of the shipping industry.
All right, so in the big world of moving things by sea, two main methods have been the top dogs for decades. You can think of them as the superstars of the whole operation.
It pretty much boils down to this. On one hand, you've got the stuff you can pour, and on the other, you've got the stuff you can stack neatly in a box. And these two methods, man, they handle a massive chunk of everything that moves around the planet. But each one has its own very specific job.
So first up, we have bulk cargo. This is for all the raw materials. We're talking coal, iron ore, grain, that kind of thing. You literally just dump it, or pour it, straight into the giant hold of a ship. The biggest advantage? It is dirt cheap when you break it down per ton. The downside, though, is pretty obvious. Spills, contamination, it can get messy. The analogy of a giant floating sandpit is honestly perfect.
And then you've got containerized cargo. Now this was the absolute game changer that made modern global trade possible. Everything from your smartphone to your t-shirt was probably in one of these standard steel boxes at some point. It's fast, it's secure, and it's so easy to move them between ships, trains, and trucks. They really are like the Lego bricks of global trade. The only catch? Well, your stuff has to fit inside the Lego brick. So, what happens when your cargo is just weird? Too big, too awkward, it just doesn't pour, and it won't fit in a box. For a very long time, there was only one solution. And let me tell you, it was not a good one.
And that brings us to the world of break bulk. This is cargo that's handled piece by painful piece. We're talking about giant pieces of machinery, huge steel beams, you name it. To put it in perspective, imagine moving to a new house, but instead of using boxes, you had to carry every single book, lamp, and plate one by one. It gets the job done, but yeah, it's not exactly efficient.
And just look at how many times every single item has to be handled. It goes from a truck to the dock, then from the dock to the ship, and then each piece has to be secured by hand. Every single one of those steps is slow, it takes a ton of manpower, and it's another chance for something to get damaged. For things that are all the same, you just know there has to be a smarter way. And you know what? There is. This is where the hero of our story finally makes its entrance. This is a category of cargo that kind of gets the best of both worlds.
And this isn't just some small niche thing anymore. Shipping experts like Gerhard Muller have actually started calling it a third main category of cargo. It's become a major player in how the world works, and it really deserves its own spot in the limelight.
So what exactly makes NeoBulk so special? Here's the key. It's for items that are all identical, shipped in huge quantities, but they aren't poured in loose and they aren't put in a box. It's all about having these uniform units that can be handled in a very specialized and incredibly efficient way.
And this is where things get really, really cool. You know those giant ships that look like floating buildings, packed with thousands of cars? Those are called roll-on, roll-off vessels, or RoRo for short. They're basically just massive floating parking garages. The cars are literally just driven on at one port and driven off at the next. It's brilliant. The same idea applies to custom ships built to carry logs or steel. It's all about designing the ship to be a perfect match for its cargo.
Okay, so now that we've met all the players in the game, let's put them all side by side and see how they really stack up against each other.
When you see it all laid out like this, the trade-offs are crystal clear. Bulk gets you that super low cost, but you're always running a risk of contamination. Containers are fast and secure, but you're always trapped by the size of the box. Break bulk can handle pretty much anything you throw at it, but man, it is slow and expensive. And that's where NeoBulk fits in perfectly. It's super efficient for the right kind of item with way less risk of damage, but you have to have those special ships.
And if we're just talking about speed, well, wow, look at this. Containerized is the undisputed champion, but check out NeoBulk running a very close second. It's a gigantic leap forward from the slow, painful pace of breakbulk. And in the logistics business, that kind of speed saves an incredible amount of money.
So why did we just spend all this time geeking out about different kinds of cargo? Because understanding this stuff, it's fundamental. It's the hidden operating system of our entire global economy. It determines the cost and speed of almost everything you own.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. There is no single best way to ship something. Every single choice is a strategic trade-off. If you need the absolute lowest cost to move iron ore, you pick bulk. If you need 1 million t-shirts to get to stores quickly and safely, you choose a container. And if you need to move thousands of identical new cars, Neo-Bulk is that beautiful, elegant solution.
So that's the story. From the slow, manual process of breakbulk, this clever, efficient idea of Neo-Bulk was born. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we keep inventing and making new things, what's going to be the next unshippable product? And what brilliant new solution is the world of logistics going to come up with to move it?